And I thought, this is inspiring me. And that's leadership. Then the second thing I feel in terms of leadership is to pass on the message that what we lack the most in our world is probably sovereignty. Sovereignty at all scales, from individuals to nations. So, and sovereignty is, again, taking back the leadership seat. So, being sovereign in our own lives, making our own decisions, thinking by ourselves, refusing, external injunctions, and coming back to our own compass. And that cascades up to nations. So by being sovereign ourselves, then we can be sovereign as a nation, and we can be sovereign as human beings in those difficult times that we face. So that's the long answer to leadership and sovereign as humans.
I was just thinking while you were talking about leadership, who in the audience can just give me something about why we form leadership? What does the word say to you? Yes, please.
Leadership. The word says to me that leader is someone who is taking others with. So who has an idea and want to put together people to achieve a goal.
To navigate.
Yes,
Please.
So, I mean, define the constituent words lead and shape. So, and we know shape is something very humongous. It makes up and is big, but it's controlled by something very small, an instrument. So you're able to determine where it goes, how it goes. You're able to steady it across the storms and all of that. So you're navigating, you're leading a ship.
Absolutely. Beautiful. I think the sister would like to also share about, she's busy maybe finding what leadership is about. No.
I was saying the leadership is responsibility.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The word itself says leader. We all are leaders. We all are leading in different roles, responsibilities at house, at work, on the street, doing groceries. Everything has a small, meaningful act that we're doing every day, and we are becoming leaders in that. We don't have to have the title or anything. And ship itself, as my friend says, about navigating and being together. I know a beautiful person who Simon Sinek is really, in leadership is all about how we take care of each other. It's not about for, it's about with. So leadership is all about with each other and becoming a ladder to another. So that takes me to second panelist, and the question to you, Nicole, is you have played a leading role in establishing the Caribbean first gender lens investment fund with the UN and TFIs. From your perspective, what key lessons can other regions adopt to successfully integrate gender lens investment or investing into mainstream finance and trade?
Okay, so I have the technical question. I really like the comments. Thank you very much, Anila, in terms of the style and information in terms of leadership. Hi, everybody. So let me just frame a little bit on what is gender lens investing. So gender lens investing is a movement that has been developed and come about in sustainable finance, really saying how do we make sure that we have an intentional, not excluding males, but an intentional focus on the concerns and limitations and constraints, really, in terms of women and women businesses and the whole environment for that. So it covers things from financing women-owned businesses, what needs to be done in terms of looking at employment, equal opportunities for employment, equal opportunities for leadership, also looking at what funds and financing can be available for that through development institutions. So those are some of the parameters. And with regards to the question that you asked, Anila, I am Jamaican. I am based here in Geneva, but very much looking at other parts of the world that I've worked and to see how we can benefit in the Caribbean from some of this work. And this is what led me to be engaged with TWIX Global, which is a gender lens investing organization, not-for-profit. The fundamental idea behind it, as I always say, is, as an economist, capitalism needs new markets to grow, right? So when people say, okay, well, why women? Well, I think it's just an evolution, if you want to call it that. You were speaking about some of the things that do happen over our journey of our economies, saying, okay, where can we make a significant input and impact? And that's with women. Women are a new, believe it, new, untapped in an exclusive manner, market at the global level, right? So if you look at different things that were done in terms of business development and everything, okay, fine. But as Giselle pointed out, in terms of the evolution, and maybe men would challenge and say, well, they also have an evolution because they become fathers while we become mothers, but the whole point of it is that it's not a level playing field, okay? So a lot of us may talk about gender equality. This is really more about gender equity. And the difference between equality and equity is that everybody has an equal opportunity to get to the table, but just that when I'm standing at the table, I may actually be down here, and the leader, as a man, is actually looking at the right level over the fence. Many people may have seen that. So what we've learned, and what I've learned, and try to really bring the idea of gender lens investing to the Caribbean region, is to create an awareness, because really that's really where we need to start, of the needs, the financial needs of women businesses across the Caribbean region. What can we learn from other parts of the world that it has been done, very successfully being done in Asia, very successfully being done across Africa, and we have a lot of similarities, albeit at a much smaller scale, because in terms of our total numbers of people across the Caribbean, we only have 44 million, but it's still, there is that opportunity. And what we need to really zone in on is, how do we change? I tell you, I did some research recently, speaking with the financial institutions, male and female, that kind of thing. Fundamentally, it comes to some of what you were mentioning, Rita, a change in mindset is needed, because the initial behavior or response is, well, what's different about you as a woman than me? Why do I have to create a different financing opportunity for you? What we have to make sure is that there is, one, a clear understanding of what it means in terms of equity, right? And actually, I know Anila does a lot of follow-up, so I would love to hear from different people in the room in terms of what your understanding of equity is. The other thing also too is that we're not talking about exclusion. So no, we're not saying focus on the women and exclude the men. We're just saying, in focusing on the whole table, men and women, you need to take intentional measures with regards to women. And what I've seen that has been very rewarding in the Caribbean, that could be applied to other contexts. The women businesses, if you want to call them the demand side, they're very, very frustrated, but they're also very encouraged, right? And encouraged also in terms of learning how to come together as a community so that they can speak to the bankers and the financial people and the policy people on the other side. I think what is very important also too is to make sure that we don't create a him or her situation, right? And so we as women need to be mindful, and me as a program development person need to be mindful not to put anybody's back up against the wall. The policymakers or the financial people put their backs up against the wall so that they can actually hear what we're trying to say in terms of creating the opportunity. And I think from the panelists, the other panelists, we will, I'm already getting a lot of tips and tools that can help to contribute on that. Thank you.
And Ruba, my dear friend, I know your journey has been from Asia to East to West, same as mine. You transitioned from the corporate career at Ernst & Young to founding your own fashion brand. What leadership lessons do you carry, or did you carry, from the corporate world into the entrepreneurship, and what did you have to do to unlearn?
Hello everyone, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here and an honor to be speaking to everyone and meet the lovely panel in person. So I started off my career at Ernst & Young, and then I moved on to establishing my own clothing brand. And I'd always aspired to be an entrepreneur. And some of the skills which I feel were really useful, whether you work for a big company or you're doing your own business, is adaptability and being flexible, where you have to adapt to new challenges in a rapidly changing business environment. And also, I think communication plays a big role, whether you're working in big teams or in smaller teams in a startup, or you're heading a department for a big organization. I think it is very important to be transparent with your team, and it is the only way to build trust also amongst each other. Another important skill I feel which I had to take with me from to my business was emotional intelligence. So basically, when I started my own business, I realized how important it is to not only manage your own emotions, but to also be inclusive and give others the chance to portray their perspective and accept it. And it is the only way you can actually build trust and motivate your team. I think one of the traits which I feel I had to really develop as an entrepreneur was being creative and innovative and being really dynamic in thinking, because you are often required to make decisions with incomplete or digital information. You don't really have established processes, and I think it's entirely in terms of vision. Whereas as a big organization, you have a long-term objective, but as an entrepreneur, like from my personal experience, we had we focused on a smaller niche just to create an impact. So I think this is my experience.
Do you mind if I just add one more thing to it because of the time that we have?
Sure.
I'll just add into what advice do you think you would give to the young leaders, especially those who are here, who want to pivot their careers but feel constrained by stability and fear of failure? You can just add a few more words to that.
So I think to all leaders, I would like to advise them to embrace a growth mindset. Basically, it's just about being resilient and determined, taking risks where required, because I think all the challenges are learning opportunities. And any setbacks resulting therefrom should actually be taken as a step towards success. I think it is also important to have a supportive system, supportive environment around you. In my case, it was my mother, who's my family, and also my mentor. And I think she not only provided guidance where required, but also helped me build a new perspective on a lot of things. So I think it's just to be strong and have faith in yourself, and I think we can all, it's just believing in who you are. Thank you so much.
Dear Agnes, can we take a deep breath before we even listen? I do that with my children. Reconnect now. Wow. face increasingly complex global challenges, what role do you believe authentic cooperation and shared strengths can play in shaping the future of organizations and communities, and what bold shifts are still needed to make that possible?
It's a big question. One thought that I have on this is I think if we have more authentic cooperation, meaning that we are more ourselves, we can also turn organizations into communities, meaning that we are together working on a bigger mission together, which would kind of break down the organizational barriers sometimes to actually achieve the goal that we're after. I've seen that in different organizations that I have worked, and what allows this to happen many times is seeing the person beyond the role that they're given within the organization. It was also mentioned someone that we are sometimes working in silos, and we actually really are not tapping into the potential that there already exists. And when we look at the person rather than the role, there is so much more that can be offered. And when people actually truly see or feel that they are seen as who they are, so much more opens up. It's sort of like a flower that starts blooming, and there is commitment, and there is passion, and so many things start to emerge. And that's where incredible synergies can happen. And the solutions that we didn't see, things don't happen linearly. Many times they happen, you kind of think that, oh, is there a miracle that has to happen? But that is the miracle. The miracle is to see the other as they truly are, and that touches us. That is a short answer.
Do you think you can share a small moment or a story where you can really see how the audience would understand what are the elements that could help them to have those spaces or create those spaces around them?
To create these spaces, it's really, well, many people have already mentioned this. It's about first aligning ourselves with ourselves. Because if we see ourselves, many times we don't actually hear ourselves. We don't see ourselves. We're so stressed about the expectations of others and fears that will happen. But if we give ourselves some compassion, we're kind to ourselves, we can then start hearing ourselves and the drives that are within us and who we are. And I think as we are aligned with ourselves and we are hearing the voice, Aline was mentioning it in her keynote speech, that every one of us has this drive within us. We just have to listen to that. And once we hear ourselves and we are aligned, okay, with ourselves, our eyes become more open, and we can hear and see others as well. We become naturally more curious about the others, and we will be actually asking questions from the others that are not related to who they are as a role, but as who they are as individuals. And for those spaces to emerge, so one thing to be aligned with ourselves, but that also helps us to give that safe space for others to open up. Because if we are willing to open up, the others will open up with us. So that is that, and then is the listening. So trust and listening, in my opinion, are the most important things. But in order to create the trust, we need to provide that safe space and respect others the way they are. Because we work at different paces. Some people work really fast, others really need a lot more time to process. And I think we have to honor that with ourselves as well, because organizational cultures are very fast. And not all of us are very fast. And that we also have to honor within ourselves, the way that we operate. I think that's very important. then we can honor others in the way that they operate.
Beautiful. Thank you, Andy. It's something that my husband always asks me how much money have you with your work? And I respond to him every year. I say, ask me the question, how many smiles I've brought onto people's faces and what difference has it made in their lives? And he has stopped asking me this question. It's been 10th year now. So if he can bring this change in asking this right question to the person who's very close to, I think we can all do our bit. So it's really about our mindset and how we ask, because he's coming from the banking sector, so for him it's about money, investments, and everything. For me, it's about connection, touching the soul, touching the heart, and that's where the universe provides me. So this is really beautiful how we take into action our own vision, our own passion, and wake up every day thinking about what difference I'm making in my life and in the life of the person just around me. So that leads me to Dr. St. Alexandrini. The question that I'd really like to ask you is about how does understanding our female brain enhance our resilience and adaptability in navigating demanding leadership roles?
Thanks, Anita. Hi, everyone. So rather than explaining to you what the brain advantage is all about, I'm going to quickly show you, if I may. So do you think I have the power to release some neuropeptides in your brain instantly? Do you think I have that power? Yes, I do. So I'm going to ask you, when I count to 3, to quickly stand up, and I'm going to show you how I can instantly increase your focus and make sure that you actually listen to what I'm saying today. Right, so 1, 2, 3, then you're going to get up. 3, up, up, up. Up. All right, you can sit down again, I'm done. Alright guys, so what happens? When we stand up, we have a sudden fall in our blood pressures, noradrenaline gets released. What does noradrenaline do other than stabilize our blood pressure? It helps with focus, it helps with attention. And that's what the brain advantage is all about. It's understanding how your brain and how your body works and how you can use that knowledge to be a better leader. Right? Our brains are different. Just like we all have different fingerprints. We all have different brain blueprints. I think Eileen called it earlier. We're all born with these specific blueprints. But I want to say, if you remember just one thing that I say today, that is that your blueprint, your leadership blueprint is different. It's different to mine, it's different to anyone here. And the beauty of that is that we have the ability to change it. We are not born with fixed traits. We are not born a brilliant leader. We have the ability with small, targeted micro-actions to change the way we lead. Yes, the way we grew up, our personalities, our parents, so many things, our hormones, hot, fanning, all those things definitely influence the way that we lead, right? But if we just make small daily changes, we can be better leaders. And embracing your specific brain advantage is what I'm going to put you up there, outshining the rest. I think maybe I can just quickly ask, just shout out a word. What do you think is your brain super skill? What is it? Is it resilience? Is it communication? Is it empathy? I heard so many great super skills from the panel this morning. What is yours? Anyone? What is your super skill?
Hyper-focus.
Brilliant. Anyone else?
Creativity.
What's that?
Creativity.
Brilliant.
Relationship. Connecting people.
I love that.
Resilience.
Resilience. Yes.
Making things happen.
I love that. Making things happen. So for some of us, it's easy to mention what it is. For others, it takes a little bit of time thinking what that is. I want to send you home today after this brilliant event. Go and think, what is your super skill? Because you cannot work on making that super skill better unless you know what it actually is.
Can you just give us a small, because of the time, is also any tip that you would have when we want to lead with confidence while keeping balance and well-being? Because you are into that, and I really like you to touch on that.
Sure. So I'm going to teach you a quick 3-step process that I call the brain sync. All right, and it's all about doing a cognitive reset. When can we use this? When we're feeling very stressed in the moment, or maybe after a stressful event, how do we just reset our brains, calm down, and regain our tell you those three things needs to be activate your astrocytes, stabilize your orexin, and stimulate your parasympathetic nervous system. No, that's ridiculous, right? Even though that's exactly what it's going to do. But you don't need to do that. Remember that. You just need to remember three things you need to do. First one is move your body, and not any movement, very specific cross-lateral body movements that's going to stimulate your astrocyte activity. So what does that look like? Any activity that's going to cross over the midline, right? One of my favorites is doing a figure eight with both hands. All right? Another one.
Try to do together, maybe.
Yes, let's try. So doing a figure eight, making sure the hands cross over the midline. That's the first one. When you're sitting in a board meeting, it might be a little bit weird if you start doing cross-lateral movements. So another great one, discreetly under the table, touch with your thumb, your fingers, one after the other in a rhythmic movement. Alright? It's very important, this movement, because it helps the two hemispheres in your brain connect. When we're females, when we get in that hot, very menopausal phase, this is a great activity to help your brain not have that brain fog problems that we all experience. Right? And whether you are 14 years old like my daughter over there, or 80 years old like Giselle, doing this movement, 8 repetitions, 8 times a day, will improve your hemisphere and connectivity, and therefore doing this, right? So that's step number one. Step number two is think positively. You already heard about mindset, right? Mindset is super important. So while you're doing your movements, that's think positive. Step number two, anything positive, whether it's a word or an activity. And then you need to breathe deeply. And you were saying it earlier, right? Activates the parasympathetic system, calms things down. Now the beauty of this is doing all three of those things together. So, do a movement, mentally repeat a positive word in your brain, take 2 very deep breaths. And I can promise you, afterwards you will be a lot more calm and focused, and your brain will be ready for whatever it needs to do.
Thank you very much. And I think that would really wrap up our panel, because I know some of the other questions I really have to ask the very last and Nicole as well. But I have to respect and take the responsibility of
So I want to stop.
gratefulness of Suzanne, who has the panel with us.
So shall I stop and I will come? Because I want to stop live. After I will tell me.
Our other panels who have to share before the lunchtime. But just before leaving, I really have to have one collective question, either from the audience who can answer or our panelists. Is about leadership, but today is often defined by adaptability, inclusivity, and purpose. How do each one of you, including all of you, see leadership evolving over the next decade? And what role should women and men play in shaping the future? Could be you, could be anyone, or could be our beautiful panel who could take this question. I can repeat again in case. Leadership today is often defined by adaptability, inclusivity, and purpose. How do each one of us see leadership evolving over the next decade, or maybe over the next couple of years? And what role should women and men play in shaping the future, also including youth? So, anyone?
I believe that leadership is a capability for somebody to help to develop their own talent and to make them take the place they can take and to stay. What can I say? A leader is not necessarily somebody who is very strong or very commandant. I don't know how to say that, but it's rather somebody who show the way and who influence the other to find their own way to do. And that is something, and in that way, women and men can find their way to do without being. I was told that I did
just by being who she is or who he is. Thank you very much.
Just quickly, a small call to action to that.
Okay, so I don't think this is on. Well, the call to action that I would give, okay, Pat has a lot of what Giselle just shared. One of the things that I do is I also work with young women to help them find their leadership space in terms of their work and the new world that we have with technology. So what I would say is, I always say this to young ladies, you are getting the direct benefits by being a part of this free program in terms of leadership, advocacy, technology. Pay it forward and pay it back. So pay it forward in terms of who else are you thinking of in terms of when you show up, right? When you're in that space. Pay it back by bringing somebody else with you, not for you, for them, in terms of what they can also do.
One thing, one synonym to leadership, I think you mentioned what leadership is about. One synonym is heading. We use heading today to talk about leadership, as if leadership was an act of the brain. But we never say hearting, we never say spiriting, we never say bodying. But leadership is it's not just the act of the brain, it's the act of our full self, mind, spirit, heart, and body. And today, I have to say that I feel that the world is sick of its brain. We've been headed too much instead of being hearted, being spirited, being bodied somehow. So I feel the next decades will be about reconciling all dimensions of our being into being good people, good leaders, being good citizens, good parents, and so on.
Absolutely, that wraps us so anyone else from the audience before I really say thank you to all our panelists and the speakers?
I think many times when we think of leadership, we think of power.
Yeah.
But real leadership, according to me, is openness and humility. Because even if I'm the leader, if I'm not open to learn from others, doesn't mean because I said this, it has to be done this way. Maybe while I'm telling you what I think we should do, I might be inspired by what you share. So what's the problem for me to change my opinion? Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, please go ahead.
I just wanted to share what my two favorite philosophers say about leadership. It's from Socrates and they both speak the same thing. Socrates and Khalil Gibran, both of them said that to become a leader is to be the one serving.
Absolutely, we all need to embrace each other and love ourselves first and then love the others. That's the core of being a person. Leader comes next. Thank you very much to all our panelists who are here. Please connect with them, those who are here, those who are not here, who leave later. They're going to be on LinkedIn and others. And thank you very, very much. Thank you. All right, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. A few things just before we head off to lunch. One, the panel discussion about redefining purpose, business, creativity, and innovation will be taking place just after lunch, so a little bit after 2 o'clock. Second thing, lunch is now only until 2. It was to be until 2:30, but we need to take back the time. So lunch will be at 2 o'clock. We'll go until 2 o'clock. Lunch will take place downstairs in the restaurant. So we go downstairs to the restaurant, and that is where lunch is taking place. Now, during lunch, there are going to be 2 discussion workshops taking place. The first one is Money Moves, Resources, Wealth, and Wisdom, which is by the fabulous Eileen Pasada, who was our keynote speaker earlier this morning. And then the second one is Using Storytelling for Change, which will be by me. And so basically we will be going to the different tables where you are and having and engendering some of these discussions. But before you leave to go and eat your food, we would love to take a group photo of everybody who's here as part of the conference. So if you could all come to the front, and we can try and put you all together. It's here. Yeah. You can come to the front. Come on, everybody. Don't be shy. Bring your happy selves.